You're good. We'll start in a couple days. All right, guys.
Yeah.
You know, really, I think three things stood out for me in the game. I thought, one, points off turnovers. You know, we talked about it at halftime, 17 turnovers. I mean, I've been blessed and fortunate to do it for a long time. I mean, you play on the road, not just here, but any place, and you turn it over 17 times, you're going to be in trouble. And it led to a 22 to 12 point differential, which was plus 10. And so I thought that was the first thing that stood out. I was hoping we'd slow that down a little bit in the second half to be a little bit sharper, more crisp. You know, certainly give Michigan credit. I'll watch the film, and you know, I'm sure they forced some of them, so I certainly don't want to take anything away from them. But you know, we had three that I can think of right now where we just dropped the ball. I mean, you got to catch the ball. You know, so I thought that hurt us as much as anything in the game. And then second chance points would be the second thing. You know, that was 14-6 on second chance points, much different than the first game in Champaign. I thought they beat us up pretty good on the glass, and obviously DJ Wilson spearheaded that. I thought he was absolutely terrific today. To be honest with you, he was pretty good in game one too. You know, you look at his stat line. Today he hurt us on the glass. You know, assuming that none of his 5 assists attributed to threes, he basically produced 29 points minimum for their team with his assist and his scoring. That's right at probably half of their production. His energy level on the backboard, his willingness to make the extra pass and make his team better, I just thought he was absolutely terrific in the game. Thought he was a real difference. So those are the three things that probably stand out to me that I think, you know, led to the, you know, result. You know, certainly give them a lot of credit. You know, we were able to shoot 56% on twos, which was good enough, but the turnovers and obviously our three-point shooting, you know, weren't nearly as good today, certainly as those two areas were in game one, where we had 11 turnovers instead of 17 and shot the ball much better from the three-point line than we did in game one. Questions?
Could you sense them making more of an effort to run your guys off the three-point line, or did you like some of the looks you had?
Well, I mean, probably a little bit of both, you know. Start the second half, I mean, Jalen Coleman-Lands is a 40-some% guy, and we run the first action, and there's nobody in the zip code. He missed it. I mean, he's missed it, you know. We ran another one right after that, obviously, on the very next inbound play, and he made it. I thought Tracy, 2 of his, he's wide open. We missed him. I just didn't think we shot it quite as well. Some of them, I'll take a look at the film, you know. Did they, you know, run us off better, or, you know, I don't know. I thought we did a pretty good job of playing inside out. Obviously, again, you know, you told me 56% on twos. I'm going to take that. That's good enough to win. But the turnovers, just, you know, 17 of them, and, you know, we'll have to look at how many of them were forced and unforced. We can control the ones certainly that are unforced. I mentioned 3 drops, you know. We've got to be better there.
So what do you do to get out of players other than Hill?
Well, I mean, you know, for us, the biggest thing I've told those guys is I want to make sure we play the right way. So every game, you know, shot attempts will be different, probably other than Malcolm for guys. You know, we did want to play. We always want to play inside out. And I thought certainly Morgan and Thorne were effective down there. I'd like to get them even more touches and opportunities. But we finished well inside the 2-point area. I don't know if it's as much as, you know, trying to pinpoint one guy and say this guy needs to be our second guy or third guy. I think it's more playing the right way and making sure, you know, our second or third guy might be a different guy in certain games. And but obviously today we really didn't have, you know, a second guy. You know, Hill made some shots there certainly late in the game, but he'll be the first to tell you. I mean, 5 turnovers. You know, he had 5 of the 17. That's not what we're looking for. You know, he'll be better. He's been better, and he's got to be better.
You were pretty quick with substitutions today and played a lot of guys.
Was that just a matter of trying to find something?
No question, Scott. I think, obviously, a couple of those guys played because they were absolutely terrific in practice the last 2 days. I thought that Thorne, Tate, and even Williams got the first crack because of that, the way they had practiced. Then at that point, it's, matchups, who's playing well in the game, but I thought that's why those guys got a crack, in the rotation today. The thing that I told those guys that I've got to start to see from some guys is consistency on a daily basis, not only games, but, practices included. From a consistency standpoint, we've used that word a lot here the last week or two, and guys need to bring what they're supposed to bring to the table in a more consistent fashion. They need to do it for the team. We need to be a little bit more connected offensively than I thought we were today. I thought what injured us more than anything was the 17 turnovers.
You mentioned being connected offensively with, all the changes to the on-court 5. Do you think that might have led to some of that, where there's
The on-court what now, I'm sorry?
the on-court 5 guys, just where it was a different group a lot, just maybe not led to the
No, I don't think so. I mean, some of those guys got to do what they're supposed to do. Some of those guys were taken out because of certain things that we need them to do that they can't do. There's certain things they can't do, and you got to fix them. They got to do what they're supposed to do. But I don't think so. I think, those guys have played with different combinations of guys all year. We've done it in practice. They know what's a good shot and what we need to get done and how sharp we need to be. I just didn't think we were sharp enough.
Coach, Maverick had called Michigan a white-collar team after the last game. Was your team even aware of how big of a deal that was with the Michigan team since then?
Well, maybe a little bit yesterday or the last day or two, but at the end of the day, you got to play the 40 minutes. I mean, every game's a different game. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Mavs got his, obviously, or had his after that game. For me personally, I'm watching our team, and obviously I'm more thinking of the last game leading into this one, and we needed to, I don't know if I'd have said that if I was him based on how we played the other day, but that's him, whatever he wants to. I mean, he's freedom of speech, and he said what he said. So at the end of the day, we knew it's going to come down to 40 minutes of great effort and execution. The team that did that the best was going to win. Again, I hate to keep hitting the same thing, but just 17 turnovers is a lot to overcome. A lot to overcome. And really, I've told you before, I love our guys, but 11 of the 17 were by some of our seniors. They're older guys. They know that they got to be better. You cannot throw the ball to the other team. And again, some of them were probably forced. I don't know how many games this year are perfect games where a team has 0 turnovers, but we had 61 and 60 league games, or 6 league games coming in. We were second in the league at 10. And it made a lot of improvement in that area from earlier in the year. To have 17 in one game is just way too many for us. So we've got to be better there.
You mentioned Wilson, but did you notice any tangible or intangible differences in Walton's game from tonight to the last match?
I always think he's good. I mean, he's an aggressive jump shooter and scorer, makes their team better. I thought he played well and played hard, but I always think, I've coached against him and Irvin and those guys for so long now. I always think, they're good. They played well today, obviously, but I just thought DJ Wilson, when, I've coached against him now 2 games in 10 days, and when I just think about them, right now it's points off turnovers, second chance points, which DJ Wilson was a big part of, but I just thought he made the right play. I mean, he got you on the glass, he took open shots, he made his team better, thought he really competed, got good length and size, he blocked the shot, J. Cole's shot there in the 2-point area. I just thought he was really active and engaged in all facets of the game. Certainly not to say the other guy, there's some other guys who played well for him throughout the 2 games, but I think he's kind of the guy that stood out for me.
Time for 2 more questions.
No necktie today, John. What were you trying to do?
Honestly, I cut myself shaving, and then I thought I had it under control. I put my tie on, and I had blood on it. And I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna. I usually have a white shirt on, as you know. I thought this one, after 17 turnovers, that'll probably get shelved. But that was why I did it.
The Big Ten. It's proven tough to win on the road, but at some point, if the team's got goals for the season, but you have to win one of them.
You answer that question, Scott.
I would say yes.
Okay, so you're a pretty smart guy. Question?
Your thoughts on playing teams back-to-back, it's not unusual in the Big Ten, is there anything that can be done about it?
Yeah, we've done it twice now. I don't know how much control you have over it just because of television and, where they want to place the games. We've got to trust the Big Ten with that. But we know we're playing 18 of them and, when they put them on the schedules, when they put them on the schedule, and you got to be ready to play. Obviously, 10 days is a pretty small window, so you got a lot of familiarity. Helps with scouting, for them and for us, because you got some familiarity. But at the end of the day, you got to play the game that's in front of you. And I don't know how much you can control that. That's kind of up to the Big Ten and what they're trying to put together for all 14 of us teams. You got to trust them with that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
You are now players in the time.